हेलो एवरीबॉडी, वेलकम टू माय चैनल। इट्स रुबीनास लेक्चर। आज मैं आप लोगों को ह्यूमन डाइजेस्टिव सिस्टम के बारे में बतलाऊंगी। ह्यूमन डाइजेस्टिव सिस्टम में डिफरेंट ऑर्गन्स होते हैं, जैसे कि लिवर, पैंक्रियाज, स्टमक, स्मॉल इंटेस्टाइन, लार्ज इंटेस्टाइन, जो डाइजेशन में हेल्प करते हैं। जब भी हम अपने माउथ में थोड़ा सा फूड लेते हैं, डाइजेशन ऑटोमेटिकली एक्टिवेट हो जाता है। ये सलाइवा के साथ मिक्स हो जाता है और माउथ जो फर्स्ट ऑर्गन है जो डाइजेशन में हेल्प करता है। The process of digestion starts with the mouth, which consists of mouth के अंदर होता है palate, teeth, tongue. Human mouth consists of 32 teeth. These 32 teeth help in the cutting, breaking, and tearing the food. So this teeth mixes with the saliva. Saliva which is produced with the salivary gland. Salivary gland कौन से है children? Parotid gland, submandibular gland, sublingual gland. You have to remember this. Saliva consists of two important enzymes, that is salivary amylase and lipase. Amylase breaks down the simple sugar, that is the complex sugar which is there in our food, breaks down into the simple sugar, and the lipase, that is our fat, break down into the simple fat. Mouth consists of a muscular part, that is our tongue. Tongue consists of some taste buds that taste the bitter, sour, salt, and umami taste. These taste buds identify the different tastes present in the food. The soft food mixes with the saliva that passes through the pharynx. Pharynx is a conducting zone. The food mixes with the saliva, passes through a pharynx, then the esophagus through the peristaltic movement. The pharynx is a path for the respiratory tract as well as the digestive zone is a common path where the digestive tract and the respiratory tract meet. So to prevent the food going into the respiratory tract, epiglottis is a flap-like structure that prevent the food going into the larynx, that is our respiratory tract. So now when the breathing starts, the epiglottis open and the esophageal pipes collapse. The air passes forward into the larynx through the lungs. When eating, opening of the larynx is closed. Larynx is a respiratory tract. Now it is closing by the lid-like structure or a flap-like structure called as epiglottis, and the food passes into the esophagus through the peristaltic movement, and then it goes into the stomach. In the stomach, what happens, children? The food gets churned with the gastric juice and the HCl. Now, when we talk about the esophagus, it is a 25 centimeter muscular tube through which the food passes into the stomach. Then it goes into the posterior part through the hole into the diaphragm. Esophageal muscles propel food down into the stomach. While propelling the food down into the stomach, the esophageal pipe, which is a lower esophageal sphincter, is present, which is a opening of a muscle contraction and joining the stomach. So this sphincter help in the opening and closing the stomach when the food passes into the stomach. It remain constricted to prevent the flow of the stomach fluid into the esophageal pipe. This is a construction where it prevent the food flowing back. The condition where if a person is eating any harmful thing in the food or any substance which is very harmful for the body of the human body, then it propels the food by opening the esophageal sphincter. You have to remember, children, esophageal sphincter is the opening between the esophagus and the stomach. Now coming to the stomach, the food passes into the stomach. The stomach is a J-shaped organ which is connected with the esophageal pipe in the upper end and the duodenum in the lower end. It has a large volume. The muscle of the stomach wall are consisting of mucosa, submucosa, muscular layer, and serosa. What is this mucosa layer? It is preventing the stomach by the acid. We have studied, children, gastric acid and the hydrochloric acid produced by the stomach for the digestion of the food. Now this mucosa layer also produces an enzyme known as Pepsinogen, and the muscular layer, which is made up of the smooth muscles, help in the mechanical churning in the stomach. The mucosa layer also produces some of the acids that neutralizes the food and preventing the damage of the wall of the stomach. Pepsinogen produces an enzyme and help in the digestion of pepsin. This pepsinogen enzyme help in the breaking down of the protein which is present in our food by an enzyme known as pepsin enzyme produced by pepsinogen. Now coming to our lower stomach. Lower stomach is known as pylorus, consisting of pyloric sphincter, the semi-solid fluid which is there in our stomach, which is known as chyme. You have to remember, children, chyme is a semi-solid fluid which is there in our stomach. Now it passes into the next or the lower part of the stomach, that is our duodenum. This small intestine which is there, the duodenum passes the food into the small intestine. Now when we discuss about the small intestine consists of duodenum, jejunum and ileum. Pepsinogen is an enzyme which acts on the protein and converts into peptone. Now the food passes into the duodenum, which is a 25 centimeter in length, which is get the secretion of the liver, pancreas, gallbladder, which converts the complex organic food which is present in our food into the simple one. Now when we talk about the liver consists of a pigment known as bile, which consists of no enzyme. Enzymes are not present in the bile juice which is secreted by the liver. It acts on the fats, and this process of the bile juice acting on the fat is known as emulsification, where the large fat molecules are broken down into the small globules. Now coming to the pancreas. The pancreas produces an enzyme known as amylase, trypsin and lipase. The amylase which act on the carbohydrates and converts into maltose, and the trypsinogen produces an enzyme known as trypsin which act on the protein and convert into peptone. And lipase is an enzyme which is produced by the pancreas and it converts the fat into the fatty acids and glycerol. Now after the food breaking down into the simple peptones, maltose and fatty acid and glycerol, the food passes into the next part of the small intestine, that is jejunum. Now here in this jejunum produces the intestinal juice. This intestinal juice is acted by an enzyme known as peptidase and sucrase. Peptidase converts or act upon the peptides and converts into the amino acid, and the sucrase enzyme which is produced by the intestinal juice is converted into the sucrose, and which give the product known as glucose. Now in this intestine we are having amino acid, glucose, peptones, maltose as a product. Now this jejunum also consists of a finger-like projection known as villi, which help in the absorption of food into the blood vessels. So these finger-like projection which help in the absorption of the food, it absorb the product like maltose, peptose, fatty acid and glycerols and sent into the blood vessel. Now the food which consists of small amount of undigested food and some amount of water is sent to the large intestine. The length of the large intestine is 1.5 meter. As after most of the food is digested by the small intestine, the rest is passed into the large intestine. Now large intestine is again divided into the ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, and the close end of the large intestine is known as cecum, which is also known as a vestigial organ present in the large intestine, that is which causes the appendix also. Now the food descends into the descending colon leading to the sigmoid colon, then lead to the rectum, where the waste particle, here the large intestine function is absorption of whatever the small bit of the water present or the undigested food present by the large intestine. Now the here large intestine, the stool or the undigested food become little bit hard. The function of the large intestine is absorption of water and remaining undigested food. There are several bacteria present in the large intestine which produces the propionate and butyrate acid, and this help in the producing a important vitamin which is help in clotting of the blood. Now this is vitamin K. Vitamin K is produced by some of the bacteria which is present in our large intestine, which produces some of the acid like propionate and butyrate. Food is stored into the rectum. The remaining material is compact in a stool and stored into the rectum. Rectum is a sac-like structure which show the all completely digested food, and there is excreted through the anal opening, the sphincter. In the anal opening, sphincters are present which help in the excretion of the completely digested food, and this process is known as excretion, where completely digested food is excreted through the anal opening. This digestion, there are different enzymes. The name of the enzyme you have to remember, that is ptyalin, that is salivary amylase produced by the saliva, and the gastric juice which produces an enzyme known as pepsin, and the liver which produces the bile juice, and duodenum which consists of amylase, trypsin and the lipase, which is a secretion of the pancreas. When we coming to the intestine produces the intestinal juice which consists of an enzyme known as peptidase and sucrase. So this is a complete digestion of food. If you remember this, it will be very helpful for you. Please remember, read the previous year questions also. Thank you, children.